Good evening. We are back to the Spirit's book, chapter 9. We started last week, chapter 9, the intervention of spirits on the physical world. We did the first part, which is the penetration of our thoughts by spirits, that we discussed a little bit that the spirits can read our thoughts if they are on the same level or above us. They need to be interested in what we are doing. Otherwise, they wouldn't be paying attention to our thoughts as much as we don't pay attention to conversations in the street that do not pertain to us. So we covered that, but we can go back to any questions, because the next subject covers also this idea of the influence of spirits on our thoughts and actions. It's called covert influence of spirits in our thoughts and actions. And actually, question 459 is a question that is always repeated and spoke in lectures and in questions, Q&As, because it's an important question. Philip.
459. Do spirits influence our thoughts and actions? They often direct both. Their influence is greater than you think, for very frequently it is they who guide you.
So what the spirits are telling us, that the spirits have much more influence in our thoughts and actions than we can imagine. They are saying here that it's very frequently the spirits who guide us through their influence, on our thoughts. And then we are going to see and discuss, what is their thoughts with what's our thoughts and how we differentiate, and if it's important to differentiate. Okay.
460.
Yeah.
Do we have any of our own original thoughts, while others that are suggested to us? Your soul is a spirit that thinks. You surely have noticed that many thoughts, and frequently conflicting ones, come to your mind regarding the same subject at the exact same time. In such cases, some of these ideas are your own and some are ours. This leads you to feelings of uncertainty because you have two conflicting ideas in your mind.
So here, first, it's important to remember that according to Spiritism, for the purpose of our studies, soul is the incarnated spirit, right? So we are a spirit that thinks, of course. So the thoughts cannot be all from others. Some of the thoughts are ours, some are suggested. And that's why sometimes we have conflicting thoughts. Because we may want to go in one direction and suddenly something tells us to go in a different direction. And that may be the influence of the spirits, or maybe not, maybe our own doubts that is creeping up. Okay, so that's important to understand that they are present. Both evolved and less evolved spirits are present in our lives and influence our actions and thoughts. Now, the question is, how can we distinguish, right?
How can we distinguish between our own thoughts and those the spirit suggests to us? When a thought is suggested, it is like a voice speaking to you. Your own thoughts usually occur to you first. This distinction is not of much practical importance to you, and it is often better not to be able to make it. Your action then has greater freedom. If you choose the right road, you do so more spontaneously, while if you take the wrong one, your responsibility will be greater.
So here are some concepts that the spirits are bringing to us, that sometimes we can hear a voice talking to us in our minds, right? Not a real voice, but in our minds we can hear a voice talking to us, and that's when generally could come from a spirit. And then also when we are thinking of something, our thoughts usually come first, and then second thoughts may come from spirits. But more important than all of this is what the spirits tells us, that this distinction is not of practical importance, and is often better not to pay attention to it, because then because if we are going to get lost in doubts if this is my choice or the spirit's choice, and well, how should I proceed, if maybe the spirit is giving me the right advice, maybe the spirit's giving me the wrong advice, and that can cause paralysis and more problems than solutions. So what the spirits are telling us is choose the right road as much as possible, and then you have the law of cause and effect that based on our freedom will apply much more effective to us than us thinking that this was not my idea, I shouldn't be responsible for my actions because it was a voice that came to me and told me. In the end, we have our free will and we make our own choices. So we cannot blame the spirits for
Busy? Hello?
or what we are doing for our actions. We can acknowledge their ourselves. So let's make sure that we understand that we are responsible for our own choices, and we face the responsibilities of our own choices. Okay.
62?
Yeah, I froze a while, but I'm back. So yeah, but sometimes I fixed the internet, but yeah, what did you miss something? No.
No.
No, right. Okay.
Do intelligent people and geniuses always get their ideas from their own minds? Their ideas sometimes come from their own spirit. However, they are often suggested to them by other spirits who deem them capable and worthy of understanding and disseminating them. When they do not find the required ideas in themselves, they unconsciously call for inspiration. They make an evocation without even being aware of it. If it were useful for us to be able to distinguish between our own thoughts and the ones suggested clearly, God would have given us the means of doing so. Just as God has given us the means of distinguishing between day and night, when something is left vague, it is often in our best interest.
Okay, so that's a good question, right? So the geniuses or the intelligent people, where does their ideas come from? If we remember that phrase, that's I don't know if who said it, was Einstein or someone else, that a genius work is 90% perspiration and 10% inspiration. We have to do the hard work. They will do the hard work, and they will be assisted if they are doing the hard work, inspired. I cannot come with a physics invention here because I have no background in physics and I'm not prepared to do it. So there's no use in the spirits coming to me and trying to give me some treatise in physics that I'm not able to produce. So they will go to someone that has the ability to move forward with the ideas that they are bringing. And again, Kardec on the comment says here that if God wanted us to make the difference between our own thoughts and the others, he would have given us the means to do so more clearly. If we don't have the means to do so, it's because it's better for us, right? You imagine if the theory of relativity, we all knew that it was 80% Einstein and 20% the spirits, or 70-30. Everybody knew that. Then it will be there will be a lot of conflicts and a lot of controversies surrounding the work of Einstein, because we were going to say it's not his work, it's only partially his work. So it's, we're not ready for this distinction between what's ours and what's theirs. So we know that if we do our best and we are working to progress, the spirits will be here to help us and will inspire us on whatever is needed, either through thoughts or even in our sleep, in our dreams. And same way, if we are preparing ourselves to do evil things, we'll have a lot of spirits surrounding us and trying to help us in doing the harm to others and to ourselves. So it depends on how we connect our thoughts and our vibrations. But again, important to note Kardec's comment here that God has given us the mean of distinguishing between day and night. We can all tell when it's night, when it's day. If we cannot tell what thought is from us or is from the spirits surrounding us, it's like remembering past lives. We don't remember because it's best for us. So this is also best for us, okay? Questions, comments here? Oh, okay.
463. It is sometimes said that our first thought is always the best. Is this true? It may be good or bad, depending on the nature of the incarnate spirit. It is always good for the one who listens to good inspirations.
Okay, here is something interesting, right? There is this popular expression that first thought is always the best. But if we know that according to the spirits, the first thought is our thought, and the second is, it may come from the spirits, how can we guarantee that we are better prepared than the spirits around us to deal with the situation? So we cannot say that the first thought is always the best. We can say that it's our first thought, but depending on our intentions, our nature, our evolution, it may or may not be the best. But if we pay attention and analyze our thoughts and the subsequent thoughts that come to our minds, we may be able to do a more balanced evaluation on how to act based on our thoughts and those brought to us. Okay.
464. How can we determine whether a suggested thought comes from a good or bad spirit? Thoroughly scrutinize its quality. Good spirits only give good guidance. It is your responsibility to make the distinction.
Again, we are responsible. And one thing that we should remember is spirits that are telling us to do things are never evolved spirits. Good spirits only give us inspiration, guidance, not orders. Whenever you are thinking like you have received an order to do this or that, you can be sure that it is not from an evolved spirit. And We can, from time to time, we hear crimes committed by unbalanced individuals that tell after that a voice told them to do so. When a voice tells someone to do something, it's not a good spirit. This we can be sure. It's a less evolved spirit trying to make us act on our inferior tendencies, and they will only connect to us if we allow them to connect, right? Again, it's through our vibrations that they will be able to connect to us and give us this bad directions, so to say. Okay. So why would they do that, Philip?
Why do imperfect spirits tempt us to wrongdoing, to make you suffer like they do? Does that lessen their personal suffering? No, but they are jealous of those who are happier than themselves. What kind of suffering do they want to make us endure? That reserved for beings that are of a lower rank and far removed from God.
Okay. So what would they tempt us to do wrongdoing? They are spirits, imperfect spirits. And despite all their sometimes statements that they are happy with what they are doing, they are not happy. Happy is the freedom to make your own choices and to work for your own progress. When you are doing this type of spirits that are persecuting others, trying to harm others, they are, in the end, suffering spirits, struggling brothers and sisters that need still to learn. They don't want to see us evolve for different reasons, either for personal reasons, because we cause them harm and they want vengeance and they have personal disputes that they want to settle with us, or because misery loves company, right? They are suffering, they don't want anyone around them to be happy. So they are jealous of those that seem happier than themselves. And the type of suffering that they want to make us endure is the suffering that they are going through, which is suffering for lower level spirits, right? That are still struggling to follow the path to evolution, the path to God. Okay. Okay.
466.
Yep.
Why does God permit spirits to lure us to wrongdoing? God uses imperfect spirits as instruments for testing your faith and perseverance in doing good. As a spirit, you must advance in the knowledge of the infinite. To do this, you suffer trials to attain goodness. Our mission is to lead you to the right path. When you fall prey to bad influences, it is because you attract lower spirits by your malicious desires. Wicked spirits always come to assist you in carrying out the malevolence you desire to commit. They only help you to do wrong when you give in to vile desires. If you are inclined to commit murder, you will have a swarm of spirits around you encouraging you. Conversely, you will also have others who will try to influence you to do good. This restores balance and allows you to make your own decision. This is how God allows us to choose our individual path and gives us the freedom of yielding to one of the conflicting influences that act upon us.
Okay. Let us first remember that God allows, God permits, God forbids. It's a language of the time. God created the natural laws, and these are all consequences of the natural laws. It's not God personally allowing or forbidding things. We connect to the spirits we want to connect. That famous image of the angel and the devil on both sides of our heads, it's an image that doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes out of the idea that we have spirits surrounding us, good and bad spirits. Whoever created that image, I'm sure, was a medium that was seeing these spirits, these good and bad spirits, and without clearly understanding what type of spirits were there, he or she just reported or draw or wrote the images of an angel and devil on each side of our minds. Who do we want to connect to, right? The good spirits are there trying to guide us to make the right choices. But according to our vibrations, we are going to connect to those that vibrate at the same level as us. When I was reading this question, I was thinking about this horrible thing that happened yesterday here in New York, on this shooter that went there and shoot at a bunch of people in the subway. And you can imagine, right? When he was planning, when he was deciding to go ahead, he posted videos before he did that, right? You can imagine him surrounded by evil spirits trying to cause harm to him and to others. So maybe the spirits, some spirits that were inciting him were his own enemies from the past. Maybe spirits that want vengeance on some of those that got injured. But again, it was his own free will. It's his responsibility. He could have resisted. He could have changed the thoughts and the minds. Again, it's very easy to blame others for our own mistakes. One of the January 6th invaders of the Capitol is on trial, and his defense is that Trump made him do it, and that it was not his fault, that Trump made him do it. Well, you can blame Trump for the inspiration, but you cannot tell that Trump made him do it. He went there by himself. He invaded the Capitol by himself. It's to put it could reduce his. I don't know legally how this is going to play out. I'm curious, but of course, you cannot blame others for your own actions unless you prove that you are mentally insane, right? And that's not the defense there, trying to prove he's mentally insane. So it's our own responsibility in the end. That's what I'm trying to say here. But when we open ourselves to these influences, we are going to get them. If we are going to listen to them or not, it's our own responsibility, and we have to face the consequences. Again, in the end, when we go back to the spiritual world, it's our responsibility to face the consequence of our own actions. If we were obsessed, yes, we are not 100% to blame, but the larger part of the responsibility will always be ours, because we opened ourselves to those influences. Okay.
João.
Yes, Daniela raised her hand. Renato, just a sec.
These questions are made me think about the example you gave some. It made me think about the Will Smith slap during Oscars. Like you
Didn't
said,
think about that.
yeah, because what I was thinking is that you said, I think 2 questions before, if we allow this kind of influence, like bad influence, it will happen much easier. So, for example, thinking about him, it could be me, it could be any person, but he was at the top of his game, right? Like celebrating a career that he has done for years since he was a very young boy. So he was celebrating. He's rich, you know. He's in the first row, nominated. He actually won the Oscars. So can I assume that it doesn't seem that he had wicked intentions behind, or maybe he does, I don't know him, but sometimes I see many examples, and I can put myself in that when we are feeling so great, like everything is going so well, at the top of everything you wanted, like things are going well, and you think you are super protected, and then boom, something strikes you down. And I'm giving Will Smith's example because it's easier as to illustrate. So can I say pride is the interest? Like too much pride?
It could be, right? Could be pride, could be, you know, in a case like this, he clearly allowed the impulse to get the better of him, right? So he acted on an impulse to go there, and without really thinking the consequences. Did he act by himself, or was he inspired in a, you know, in a negative way by those that want, or the spirits that wanted to harm him? Possible. Again, we don't know, but you know, it's very likely that there were the spirits there that want to hurt him, and you know, they know our weak spots, right? So whenever the comedian Chris Rock attacked his wife, they went to him directly and said, "You cannot allow you know, someone to say these things like that." We can imagine the whole thing playing out. But again, we have to, in the end, it was him that stand up, thought about it, and so you cannot say that he couldn't blame any spirit for doing it. Well, of course he didn't, because that's not even in the discussion there. But we know that whenever he made the decision, there were spirits there saying to him, "Go, kick the guy, slap the guy," or whatever, you know. We're the first question, going back to the first question, right? Their action, they influence much more than we think. But in the end, it's our responsibility. He could have, you know, he was telling a joke. His best reaction would be to show an angry face, and that's it, right? Because that would tell everybody that he was not happy with the joke, and then he could say later, right? And I think, looking back, that's what he think he should have done. But you act on an impulse, and there are consequences, right? There are consequences here, consequences in the spiritual world. So it is, in the end, is our own responsibility, but we are all surrounded. Yeah, Renato.
Hey, no, it's just a comment, because I was listening to a lecture from Raul Teixeira today, and I think translating the name of the lecture would be "Inconvenience and Dangers of the Mediumship," something like that. And he was explaining that us as a spirit, we don't have like the 5 senses like here. We see and hear and feel things as a whole, and when we are in the matter, we have this centralized, like the ears and mouth and ear and eyes, so we can focus better. So what he was saying that I find interesting that's related to this, that is our brain is like a transmitter and also receiver of energy and thoughts and everything. And he was saying exactly what we are discussing here, the influence of the spirits. In that case, he was mentioning to mediums, but what he said that at our level, this happens all the time. So, so I think he was saying that, one of the steps that, he advised people to take is to stop for a minute and think about of the thought, because usually what happens is the thought comes and then we react. The thought comes or we don't think about it, or we don't give enough thought on the thought, if that makes any sense. So and this moment when some thought cross your mind, just give it a minute, or pray, or question yourself, is this really mine? And if it's mine, is useful, it's good, and this kind of line of thinking I found interesting him saying regarding the influence of the spirits in our thoughts.
Yeah, you're right. One thing that you said there that is very important: stop and think. Don't react. Right? The reaction is always dangerous. Act after reflecting, because we still at our level, our first impulse is to react, and the reaction is always dangerous, right? Because we can end up causing harm to ourselves more than those that we want to react to, right? In the case of Will Smith, all the damage is to him. Chris Rock, his concerts or his shows are selling out. So he's happy to have been slapped because he's making a lot of money out of it. Will Smith, on the other hand, what did he prove? Nothing, right? He just brought a lot of problems for himself, right? And again, I'm sure there is much more than we know. There is something touched him directly and affected him directly with a joke that we don't know. Maybe one day he'll tell us why. But again, if he had stopped and thought, like you said, and not for a minute before reacting, he could have a better outcome for the reaction, right? You can, in worst case scenario, you stand up and leave the room, right? To show the anger of the reaction. But the reaction, worse than that would be only if he had punched instead of slapped. That would be worse. But besides that, very difficult to think of a worse reaction. Again, not saying that the comedian has the right or didn't have the right. We're not going to get into that, because that's not a discussion for here. It's just we're talking about the influence of spirits, right? And that's what you said, Renato. If he had stopped and thought about it, maybe he would have make a better decision, right? We can only hope. Okay. Okay.
467?
Yeah.
Can we free ourselves from the influence of spirits who lure us to inequity? Yes, because they are only drawn to those who attract them by the immoral character of their thoughts and desires.
Read the next one.
When repelled by our will, do spirits relinquish their own temptations? What other option do they have? When they see that they cannot accomplish their goal, they give up. However, they continue to watch for the right opportunity, like a cat who keeps an eye out for a mouse.
So it's very easy. How can we free ourselves from the influence of spirits? We have to change our thoughts, right? We have to change our vibrations. If we vibrate in an elevated way, they won't be able to connect to us. So the answer is easy. How to do it is the problem, right? Because we still fall prey of our inferior tendencies, our limited capacity of vibrate at a higher level, and we end up opening windows of opportunities for these spirits, or even open doors of opportunities, larger doors of opportunities, right? Because if we don't allow them to connect to us, as in the second question says, what option do they have? They will move away from us because they cannot accomplish their goal. But if it's personal, they'll continue to watch for the right opportunity, like he said. And again, we have to separate here what is personal and what's personal. The spirit wants me to be harmed, or what's not personal is just a spirit taking an opportunity that I'm having an inferior thought and tendency, and he joins the buzz of other spirits trying to connect at the same vibration. So if it's not personal, let's say, a spirit that is associated with someone who drinks, if the person stops drinking, the spirit is only associated because you are drinking. If you are no longer drinking, there are many other people drinking. They don't need me specifically, right? So that's important also, to separate the spirits that are directly connected to us because they want to harm us, or they are connected to us because of what we are planning to do. It's not personal, it's what we are planning to do. When we go back to the book Liberation that we studied last Sunday, if you remember, when Gubbio is talking to Saldanha and asks Saldanha why he was there, right? And persecuting Margarida, and he said, it's not personal. It's not to Margarida, it's to the father, to her father, right? That's not how it's going to play out the book, because Saldanha in the future, very short term, is going to change. But if Margarida was able to disconnect from him through some resources, he could move to the father, because that was his personal vendetta against. It was not her. He was using her as an instrument. So spirits may be connected to us because of personal problems, or because of they want to join the club in our tendencies. Again, going back to the case of yesterday, the shooter. I'm sure that he was surrounded by spirits, but not all spirits surrounding him were personal. Some of them were there because they want to cause chaos, and he was just the instrument. It was nothing personal. If he decided in the last minute to change his mind and move away, the spirits would just move to the next guy who's thinking about doing something like this. Now, those that want to harm this particular person, they would stay connected to him to try to force him to change his mind. Okay, it's important to understand the difference between spirits surrounding and trying to influence us, the different types of spirits that would be around us. Like the protecting spirits, right? We have our guardian angel that it's more evolved than us and has our best interests at heart, and will always be there to protect us, to guide us, to inspire us. And we have our familiar spirits, who are spirits that love us, that will try to help us, but not always bringing the best advice, right? We sometimes receive advice from family members that wants the best for us, but it's not the best advice, right? Because they think it's the best, but it's really not the best. We'll have spirits trying to help us that may give us the wrong advice. And that's why it's important for us to be able to stop, think, analyze, and make our choices based on what we think is the right path and the best way for us. Okay. Okay.
João,
Yes.
and another comment, because I've been listening to Raul Teixeira a lot lately, and it's funny, not funny, but it's just another verbal to throw on the comments that you mentioned. It was different videos that he was talking about Chico's life and Divaldo's life, and in personal conversation they were asking both of them, because they went through a lot, they suffered a lot, they were persecuted a lot, even from both sides. And I mean, I think we could agree that both of those guys, they vibrate on a different level than us, a much higher level than us, and they still had to go through them. And I remember on the video, one of the responses from Divaldo saying, and Raul asking him, how can you manage that? And Divaldo saying, I cannot control my enemies. I can only control what I do. So vibrating in a higher level doesn't necessarily will guarantee that we will avoid those spirits, but our response will be different and we're not going to make it worse. So I find it very interesting that even Divaldo and Chico, they had their fair share of tough times with other spirits, and
you can imagine that those type of spirits, incarnated spirits like Chico or Divaldo, with a mission that they came with, and with the difference they are making, they are going to be attacked from all sides, right? And I was listening to a lecture about Chico this week, and Jorge Laha was saying that Chico never had any bad word against anyone that was. There is no report ever of Chico reacting to any attack that he suffered. How evolved is a spirit that can withstand 90 years of attacks from both sides and not giving a single reaction? Was always the reaction of understanding and loving, and that's exactly what he said, right? He what he could control was his part, and he controlled it beautifully, right? And again, I always bring back the answer that he gave once they asked him, why don't you react to the attacks, right? And he said, if they are right, there's nothing I can say. If they are wrong, they don't deserve my answer. That's so above our capacity of doing anything similar, right? But it's so perfect, right? Because someone is accusing you and they're wrong. Why would you give them the pleasure of engaging? Just let it go, because truth will always prevail, right? And if someone is attacking you and they're right, if you enter into a discussion, you are going to lose because they are right. So, but again, that's Chico, right? Okay.
469.
Yeah.
How can we neutralize the influence of wicked spirits? By doing only what is right and putting all your faith in God. You repel lower spirits and prevent them from controlling you. Do not listen to spirits who inspire you with despicable thoughts, cause conflict, and stimulate malicious passions. Particularly distrust those who flatter your pride, because this is how a spirit attacks you at your weakest point. This is why Jesus makes you recite the Lord's Prayer. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Yes, here the spirits bring to us something very interesting, right? Which is when we start thinking too much of ourselves, our pride starts to take the best of us, that's when we are in danger, because they know exactly what are our weakest links, and they will go directly there, right? So for those that have the tendency to feel too much proud of themselves for actions and deeds, say, the attackers will try to make others praise us also, because in this way we start feeling very good about ourselves, and that's a way to get lost on our path, right? So it's hard. I know that Sunday we had a question about humility, right? That was asked to Elmo, right? Why we keep insisting on humility, on lowering ourselves and presenting ourselves as less than we are, and again, it's not easy. We need to understand our limitations and accept our limitations, and we are not here to spread our knowledge as a way of showing superiority, right? Because intellectual progress is nothing without moral involvement, what really counts is moral involvement, right? So if we can show our moral side, the humility, the forgiveness, all these qualities that make us be charitable, that's what matters. But here in these discussions, we can only show the knowledge, right? I can say a lot of things, but you don't know if I'm really like that, or I do the things I say here, right? And of course, I don't do 100% of the things I say here. Otherwise, I would be in a much better situation than I am, right? But again, we have to aim for the best, right? We have to bring the message here of what the Spirit tells us is the right path, even if we're not following the right path. But we have to be careful with the pride and vanity in the worst sense. Again, we have to understand that if the being proud of a work well done, a work that you helped someone, you feel happy that you were able to help someone, you feel proud of yourself of being able to help someone or practicing charity. There's nothing wrong with that type of pride. We're talking here about pride of when we start thinking that we are better than we really are. Start thinking that we are at the king of the hill, as they say here, right? The top of the world. That's when it becomes a problem. Okay.
I like to make a comment. You mentioned that like humility is like lowering yourself. I do not agree with that. I kind of believe that humility in reality is acceptance of oneself as a limited individual, because the more you know, the more you become aware of how little you know. So it's not actually to lower yourself, it's an actuality. Humility is an acceptance of the reality of the self. Am I making sense?
Yeah, absolutely, Paco. It's I agree with you completely. I'm not saying, when I said lower yourself, meaning coming down from your pedestal.
The high clouds. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. But humility itself is the acceptance of, well, it's been said, that Socrates says something like, I only know that I know nothing. That was his wisdom, So humility to me is just exam of the limitations of the self itself in this realm.
Mhm. Yeah,
Thank
but
you.
but it's true humble persons are very difficult to find.
Oh, that's true.
We find a lot of people to pretend to be
yeah.
humble.
Oh, yes.
You muted yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, João,
Yes.
so for me, this is very is a touch subject for me because I was talking to Luana yesterday. I was doing my research on subjects, listening to Divaldo, Chico, Haroldo, Ivone, and when I hear them talk, I say, man, I want to be like them. I wanted to have that effect on people. When you listen to something, it touches you. It takes you to a different place. It makes you think in a different way. And I always say to you, Elman, Jussara, in the spirits group, I'm aspiring to be like you guys. So I have a goal to do things, to do better, to be better. And it's very hard when you're trying your best to not only better yourself, you kind of expect the reactions of people because it's like you want to see the end result of your efforts. Yeah. And it's a very fine line when you're receiving the compliments and you try to do the humble thing, but again, it's a very fine line. But on the other hand, if you don't try your best, you're just doing average and you're not making yourself better. So how do you, for example, yourself, that is a person that's doing this since forever, navigate, because you've been receiving compliments pretty much for a long time. So how do you keep still pushing yourself and still keeping humble on those situations?
First I look at those that have achieved much more than I do, that know much more than I do, right? And see the long path that I still have, right? Second, every time I'm preparing myself for any of these classes, I always find things I didn't know. So it goes back to what Paco say, all that I know is that I know nothing. And trying to keep the understanding that we have a long way to go is how you keep motivated and how you keep, in a way, with the feet on the ground. But one thing that you said, Renato, that I think it's important also, and spiritism, sometimes there is this thing that they say, oh, you shouldn't be praising people because you shouldn't feed their pride. But again, it's important to acknowledge a good work done, right? Because it makes you happy that you have achieved your goal, and should at least make you more motivated for the next step, right? So that's what I take it also. It's not when you do a good job, when you were able to get through and help. I think it's at our level of evolution, it's important to receive some recognition. What we do with our recognition, that's our personal issue, personal problem, right? How we deal with that. But it helps, definitely helps, and I think it's important. Divaldo was asked that. How you keep receiving these titles of honorary citizen of I don't know how many cities he received the keys, 200 cities that he has the key, or he's an honorary citizen of whatever city. And he said, every time I get one of those, I accept. Joanna told him that. We see that in the movie, right? Joanna told him that. Accept in the name of Spiritism. That's Spiritism. That's not you. So, you know, I try to remember that also, right? Every time I'm learning more here and I'm studying, and I'm able to help people. I'm thinking about you know, the work that's the help that I received from Spiritism, because in the end you are helping more yourself than you are helping others here, right? So when I'm studying for this class, I'm learning more than I'm able to teach. So I'm being helped more than I'm able to help you guys, in a sense. So I think it's important to receive the recognition, because it motivates us, but it's important for us to understand where we are, right? And this requires a lot of self-analysis, self-acknowledgement, right?
Yeah, I really like that answer, to accept the name of the Spirit, because it's easy to sidetrack and think that you are doing the job. It's not for you. And yeah, I really like that answer.
Yeah, I really like that also, because he said he was in the beginning, he wanted to reject the prizes, the whatever homages he was receiving, and Joanna told him, no, you represent Spiritism. You have to go out there and represent Spiritism, because if you go to a place, you know, when he went to the Congress in Brasilia to receive the title of, I don't remember what's the last one he received. You are talking for a lot of people that are not Spiritists, that are seeing you as an example of the work that you are doing. And so you are talking in the name of Spiritism. You know, you are representing it. It's not you, it's Spiritism. And I thought that was very, very interesting. I like that also. Okay. Any final thoughts here? Because we have 1 minute left, so I'm going to stop here. We come back. We finish this next week. We have I have like three questions more, so we finish next week. So before the final prayer, Zoraida, just I have an announcement here. We are going to change a little bit our Thursdays starting in May, right? We are going to reopen the center for our Thursday studies. For those that follow us online, nothing will change except the time, right? Because we are going to have only the study of the Spirits book from 7 to 8 p.m. Okay? I will repeat that until May. We'll get that, because what we are doing, we are reopening the center on a second day for fraternal assistance. Because the more we discussed with other Spiritist centers, other people, and about what's the next step for Spiritist centers, the more we reach the conclusion that the part of the study can continue to go online, because you are not, you know, if we close the online studies, it's very easy for you just to find someone else that is doing online instead of going to the center. And we don't want to lose you. We want you to continue with us. So we will continue to do all our studies online. The only difference that on Thursday, I will be there at SGNY doing from SGNY. And because we are opening a second day for fraternal assistance, that will be also from 6 to 7, like Mondays. We are going to have the Spirits book from 7 to 8. And we will no longer have the Mediums book. The Mediums book will move to the third Sunday of the month, which is the one we are doing twice a month, the Gospel now, right? The second and the third. So now, starting May, the second Sunday of the month will be the Gospel. The third Sunday of the month will be the Mediums book, right? And the fourth Sunday will still be Q&A. And in May, that has 5 Sundays. The fifth Sunday will be a lecture by our friend Renato. Yes, the first one. Any questions? You all understood how it's going to work?
Yes, well, you'll repeat it again.
Yes, I'll repeat again. And if you want to go to the center and study there in the center, I'll be there. We will be there. Elmo probably will be there also.
From 7 to 8. Thursday
From 7 to 8. And after 8, we'll have the passes there at the center, not online, right? So our meeting closes at 8 online. We do the final prayer, then we finish the online, and then we do the passes at the center. And someone wants to talk there, we'll be there. So
also, you're going to have a hybrid meeting. What do they call
a
it?
Hybrid meeting. Yes, exactly that. And we have everything ready because the equipment is all in the center already. And in the last Thursday of this month, I'll be there by myself to test it to see if we can do, if everything works fine. It's going to work because I already did the test. So those that follow us from Orlando, Daniela, will continue to be able to study with us online. Only the time changes, okay? It's going to be from 7 to 8, still the Spirits book. Dani.
So it's going to be, you are going to be talking to us online and to people in person at the same time?
Yes.
A hybrid,
yes.
yeah. They call that
A hybrid.
So we are going to see you in the room?
No, you are going to see only me.
Oh, okay.
Because for people present there to be shown, we need authorization. And we're not going to do that. So if you are sitting there, if you talk, people will hear you, but nobody will see you.
Oh, okay.
You only see me or Elmo when Elmo is doing the study.
So it's still the same Zoom account, everything the same?
Yes, for you, Dani, for instance, nothing changes except the time.
Okay.
Nothing. And for all those that, the only thing now, our meetings become all at 7, right? So we have the book club at 7 p.m., the Thursday at 7 p.m. also. The Monday is at 7 p.m., our mediumship meeting, fraternal assistance. So it kind of brings together the times to uniform, right? But again, I'll be repeating this until Thursday, right? But just for you to have an idea of what's going to happen starting May, right?
Starting in May the 5th.
Starting May the 5th, yes. Our time changes to 7 p.m.
So the mediumship studies will be monthly, not weekly anymore.
Will be monthly, not weekly. Yes. Yes. We are not far from the end of the medium's book. So I talked with Elmo and we agreed. Actually, first, not many people stay for the study of the mediumship. A lot of people leave after the Spirits book. And we thought about finishing the medium's book on Sundays was the best option, because in the end, we need more fraternal assistance at the center, right? We want to have a second day to help those that are in need with the passes and the fraternal assistance. Okay, and the studies will continue to be online. Yes, Renata. You said something? No.
Yeah, sorry, hang on. Sorry, one second. Sorry, I have to disconnect my AirPod, but then you're gonna hear my kid in the background. But anyway, so you'll be monitoring the what do you call the Q&A? Yeah, from the virtual part, and Elmo will.
No, it will be exactly like we are here, right? So instead of me sitting here in my living room, I'll be sitting at SGNY. But for those that are following online, you won't notice any difference. So if you have questions, people there in the room will hear you. And if someone there has a question, a comment, you will hear a comment from someone else that is not me, right?
And you'll be managing like both the virtual and the in-person audiences.
Yeah, but in the end, I'm just sitting there behind the desk, behind the computer, and people is sitting like the Mondays, sitting in front of me. For people that are there, sitting in front of me with a book in their hands, because they won't be able to see the computer screen, right? They'll have a book in their hands, following the reading.
Okay.
It's you see, it's going to, for those that enter online, won't be any difference. The only difference is the time. Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you.
but you can ask the questions too. You can keep asking the questions until
get it right.
we have time. Yeah.
Until we get it
So,
right.
yeah. So this Saturday, the United States Spiritist Federation lecture is by Yasko Arakawa from the Spiritist Society of Baltimore, and she's going to talk about Jesus' miracles or psychosomatic healing, resilience as a psychotherapeutic tool. So what she's saying is that in revisiting Jesus' healing approach, psychotherapists are finding some parallels with modern psychoanalysis. And his teachings in the Sermon on the Mount on resilience, humility, faith are raising the questions whether Jesus performed miracles or psychosomatic healings. Sounds very interesting, right?
Yeah.
So this is Saturday at 11 a.m. This Sunday, the third Sunday of the month, we're going to do the Gospel according to Spiritism again, okay? And on the book club, we are still in chapter 10, but read 10 and 11 if you plan to attend, because we have to finish 10 and then we start 11. Yes, then.
Actually, it's technically 11, but the book starts part 2. So it's chapter 1 for part 2.
Okay.
It's
I
how
don't
it's
remember
in
the book.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
how the book says. So it might be, I said 11, but it officially part 2, chapter 1, technically 11.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks. All right. Okay, Soraya, can I do our final prayer?
Yes, of course. To our spiritual benefactors, our guardian angels, all that have contributed here today in our meeting, studying the Spirit's book, the influence of our thoughts and actions, understanding the importance of who we are and the importance of working toward our light, our crisis light, working, improving ourselves in order to live a life of peace. But it takes a lot of us, a lot of work to continue understanding who we are. So let's continue throughout the week, continue through studies, and most important, through prayers, to all that are going through difficulties in hospitals and hospices, the influences of those that are homeless, the undeveloped countries. May we continue to pray for them for enlightenment, strength, and courage, and most important, faith. And we pray, dear Father, for our Spiritist group of New York, our teachers, that continue to inspire us and giving us courage of the importance of studies. Because without intelligence and morals, it will take longer and much more difficulties in our lives. So let's continue to meet through our study groups and working toward our Christ. We pray, dear Father, for all that are in need of prayers throughout this land, for Europe and all that are suffering, dear Father. And those that don't understand the peace, may our prayers surround them with peace and courage and love. And with this in mind, dear Father, we ask permission to close this part of the meeting today. So be it. So be it.